Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is an action spectacle that is let down a little bit by that Part 1. So, are you asking yourself, is it good? Is it worth watching? Let's find out. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is obviously the first part in this last two movies that we're going to have in the Mission Impossible series, at least the one starring Ethan Hunt and Tom Cruise. Now, depending on how these do at the box office, that could change, but that's the gimmick that we're going for here, that this is probably Ethan Hunt's last ride into the sunset. And so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a different type of action movie. So if you like John Wick Chapter 4, you like Sisu, or you like a lot of the action movies that have come out in 2022 and 2023, they're all very similar to each other in that sort of gun fu styling and all of that, whereas Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 doesn't follow like that. It follows more like a throwback sort of action film from the 90s, or just, it's a spectacle. It's not about the stunts, where it is about the stunts and the marketing, but it's not about that. It's more about the story and how we get there and the characters than anything involving the fights and stuff like that. Now, that's not to say that the fights are bad. The fights in this film, especially, there's one that's in close quarters that's between Tom Cruise and Pom Klementieff that is magnificent. There's another guy involved, but he's a stuntman that is there to fight a henchman or whatever. But it's a fantastic fight scene that's in this alleyway that is just shoulder width, and it's one person here, and Tom Cruise in the middle, and it's just magnificent. You get a great fight scene there. There's a couple of other fight scenes around the locations that they're in the movie that are pretty good. The third act train set piece, extended set piece that we get has some great fight scenes as well. It stars Tom Cruise, it stars Haley Atwell, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Pom Klementieff, Esai Morales, Carrie Elwes, Henry Czerny, Vanessa Kirby, a bunch of other people. This cast is huge. It's a very large and just well-decorated cast. It's a lot of stars that are in this movie. Rebecca Ferguson is also in it. She returns from the previous Mission Impossible films. So you have this feeling of like the newer cast mixing with the older cast, and you have Simon Pegg that is here for the humor, for the comic relief. He's part of the funniest moments in the film. Ving Rhames, surprisingly, is the grizzled veteran, the old sort of guard of the film that's giving out advice, giving out sage wisdom. That's a needed part of this film, where Tom Cruise is just balls to the wall, excellent. But the real highlights are the women of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Haley Atwell, Vanessa Kirby, Rebecca Ferguson, and Pom Klementieff. They are all fantastic. Haley Atwell steals the show. And in a movie with Tom Cruise and all these other stars, it's really hard to steal the show from them, and she does. Her character, Grace, has motivations and sort of manifestations and machinations that are mysterious, that you don't understand right away, but you get sort of fed them as you go on along the movie. Rebecca Ferguson is badass. She kicks a whole lot of ass in this film, especially in the scenes where Tom Cruise is sort of trying to go find her at the beginning of the film. She's taking out dudes on horseback. It's crazy. Vanessa Kirby, magnificent actress. I hope she gets her own action franchise. Fingers crossed that she's Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four movie. But she is also great here, and Pom is obviously great, as I mentioned before. Those four are magnificent. The only performance, not performance because his performance is good, Esai Morales' performance is fine, but his character of Gabriel is lacking a bit, and it comes in where you have the villain of the film is this sort of nameless, faceless, emotionless, artificial intelligence, basically, that's this rogue AI that all these different factions are trying to get to control so that they can use it to control other people, take over the world, etc. And people are trying to sell the pieces of it that get to the, the server or wherever it is, to the highest bidder. So you have this whole plot of not only trying to stop this thing, but stop the people that are trying to sell the key to this thing. And it's a very inventive plot. It's very prescient to the concerns that people have with artificial intelligence these days, to how people might use it or might abuse it or whatever. And it's very prescient for a movie, especially that was written in 2019, that it's taking on this new meaning now. The movie just works, though. It gets you in. It's a fairly long movie, but it's unlike any other action movie where it follows this weird sort of story structure where it almost feels like two separate movies, like they could have split this into more parts or something like that and made it even shorter. But it follows the hunt for who has the key, and then it follows the hunt for who's buying the key at the second half. So you get these two polar halves that really, when you put them together, adds to an excellent, excellent action film. Like I was saying about Morales' performance, though, because it is the main villain of the film is this thing that isn't there. It's on a screen. It's in a computer. He has to manifest it in a way because he's the human heavy for the rogue AI program. So he comes off sort of as this like twirling mustachy sort of villain that's smiling all the time, and it's a reflection more so on the motivations for his character than his performance. His performance is fine. He's menacing. He does really well in the fight scenes that he has with Tom Cruise. Just his character, the motivations for it and everything like that don't really match. It doesn't match the rest of the film. It doesn't fit in. But the other performances here are fantastic. I know you're all here to see, hear about the performances, hear about the movie, hear about the plot. You're really here to see Tom Cruise drive off of a cliff with a motorcycle, aren't you? Because that's a big portion of this film's marketing, and they're pushing that Tom Cruise did this stunt by himself. He drove a motorcycle off of a cliff and then hit a parachute as he was going down. It's crazy, and that's the craziest stunt in the film, but any of the other stunts that are in this film would be on that level if it wasn't for that stunt. There's a scene where they crash a train. There's a scene where Tom Cruise lands something on a train. There's other ones. There's when they're going through Rome in a Fiat, getting chased by cars. There's so much that fits into this film that just makes it a spectacle on the screen. If you can see it in IMAX, go see it in IMAX. See it in the biggest possible screen you can. You won't regret it. Christopher McQuarrie's writing and direction has reinvigorated the Mission Impossible franchise since he hopped on, and he does it here. He doesn't miss. Tom Cruise doesn't miss. McQuarrie doesn't miss. The only thing other than the villain's motivation that I can say is a bit of a downer on the film is that it is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. So that Part 1 getting added on to the title, it just sets an expectation for the audience when you're going in, and it's always there in the back of your mind when you're watching. You're going, wow, this is really cool. This is really awesome. They just crashed a train. Holy crap, he just punched that guy. They're fighting in an alleyway. He's running through the streets. There's a boat chase. All of that, but it's still there in the back of your mind that you're going, well, this is still a Part 1, so we've got more movie to go here. And I think it would have worked better. I know that they filmed them back to back, but just lop off the Part 1 and call the second one Mission Impossible whatever, or call the second one Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. Don't let us know that we're already gonna get a Part 2, because it sets an expectation for the audience. But that's a small thing with this film that ends up being one of the best action movies so far of the year, an early frontrunner for movie of the year. It's got some competition, obviously. John Wick Chapter 4 is magnificent. Sisu is magnificent. But it is a different type of action movie, and it ends up as one of the best films in the franchise. And outdoing Mission Impossible Fallout is a huge task, and I think they do it. If I have to give it a review score, I would give it a 96 out of 100. It is that good, folks. So you can check it out in theaters on July 12th. See it in IMAX. See it that first week, because Oppenheimer is going to come out and swallow up all of the IMAX screens after that. But you need to go see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 in theaters. It's fantastic. So if you like this review and you want to see more reviews from me, check out this movie playlist I have. I have all of my reviews there. You can check them all out.